tuendelee na maisha vizuri.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Na kuhitaji unikinge,
pata chanjo.
Na kuhitaji unikinge,
pata chanjo.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Ili tuendeleze maisha bora kwa ajili ya wapendao, nchi yetu na usoni wetu, kwa ajili yetu sisi sote. Pata chanjo. Kaa chonjo. Kuhakikisha nchi yetu na uchumi wetu umestawi katika uwazi. Tusirudi nyuma.
Mimi najua wewe utamtetea, lakini ushajaribu kufikiria majukumu alionayo kwake?
Dinko, you're not serious.
Mzee ni babu yako, mimi ni bosi wako.
Hawataki kukupatia kazi ama ni kazi hakuna?
Unasumbuliwa na nini? Au na nani?
Uliniambia nikihitaji msaada wako unaweza kunisaidia anytime, yeah?
In your dreams, wakili, and over my dead body. Wewe huaminiki kabisa.
Five days into the month of January, the year 2021, the debate over the controversial Political Parties Amendment Bill continues to gain momentum. More shouting, more throwing out of members of Parliament. We will be telling you what happened at the National Assembly today, plus these top stories. Dishonor in the Honorable House. Ndindi Nyoro kicked out of the chamber for 2 sittings as debate on controversial Political Parties Amendment Bill degenerated into shouting.
As far as I'm concerned, I am free to meet everybody, and if I meet that person, I will not shy away from telling Kenyans I have met Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so or Madam So-and-so.
Putting on a brave face, One Kenya Alliance principals move to dispel claims of division. And Deputy President William Ruto, whose Busia residence as Raila sells his Azimio la Umoja in Nakuru County. All right, those are some of the stories that our news team has been working on for you, contained in our comprehensive news bulletin that will also be taking you into the world of business later on, and of course in the world of sports. My name is Serfine Achieng and our sign language interpreter for tonight is Lucy Maura. We begin straight away with our top story. Kiharu Member of Parliament Ndindi Nyoro was Wednesday thrown out of Parliament for 2 sittings for alleging bribery in the House as debate on the controversial Political Parties Amendment Bill degenerated into a shouting match in the National Assembly. Nyoro, who refused to withdraw the claims, stuck to his statement that Wajir woman representative Fatma Gedi was dishing out money to influence voting. Gedi was also kicked out of the chamber for 1 sitting for distributing food within the House against Parliament's standing orders. Earlier, members of the National Assembly allied to the Deputy President William Ruto Wednesday played tricks by proposing amendments to every clause in the bill to force divisions and delay in the conclusion of the debate that is now in the committee stage.
Political parties forming a coalition must file their agreements with the Registrar of Political Parties by April. This is after MPs adopted the amendment by Leader of Majority Amos Kimunya, reducing the timeline from 6 months to 4 months. MPs rejected the proposal by Garissa Township MP Aden Duale to remove timelines. 128 MPs voted against the amendment by Duale, while only 104 MPs supported the removal of timelines.
I announce the results that the yes have 1 over votes, which is giving us 44.83%, and the nays have 128, giving us 55.17%. So total, the nays have it.
Amendment by Nambale MP Sakwa Bunyasi seeking to bar coalition party from fielding candidates in other positions other than president was opposed by Leader of Majority and supported by members allied to UDA.
The import of the amendment is that the coalition party shall field a presidential candidate.
Order members.
And allow individual
order members. For you be able to make a decision, you must listen. Otherwise, you'll be arguing until get your results. Yes, Honorable Bunyasi.
On this particular issue, you cannot deny a party the right by law.
Leader of Majority, you are supporting, you're not supporting?
I'm not supporting.
Or you are not supporting?
Because this is unconstitutional. It goes against Article 38.
Saying back to the amendment by Honorable Sakwa Bunyasi, which I support. And I support that amendment, Honorable Speaker, because you are aware, as we speak, Honorable Speaker, IEBC has already received, approved, and certified nomination rules of political parties for all elective positions.
Upon being subjected to a vote, 132 MPs voted to allow the coalition party to field candidates in all positions, while 111 MPs objected. Attempt by Kimilili MP Didmas Barasa to amend the bill by deleting the clause that punishes members of political parties who promote ideals of other parties also flopped. The House rejected all proposals by MPs allied to UDA, with 54% of members constantly voting against the amendment. By the end of the day, the House had dispensed off with more than 10 clauses. Gishoke Washira, Prime Edition.
All right, now moving on, Deputy President William Ruto, I beg your pardon, has urged Kenyans not to allow few individuals to decide the country's political destiny during this year's general election. Speaking in Busia County on Wednesday, Ruto assured voters that they are the ones who have the final say on who becomes the 5th president.
Deputy President William Ruto on Wednesday said the next head of state will not be imposed on Kenyans. Speaking in Busia County on Wednesday, Ruto maintained the Kenyan voters will be the final arbiters.
We will not accept that you want to impose an imperial president on Kenya, that you want to change the constitution so that we can have an imperial president who controls the legislature through appointments, who controls the judiciary through the ombudsman, and who controls the executive. We will not accept. We will elect a president who is the servant of all Kenyans.
He assured small-scale traders that should he form the next government, he will inject 50 billion shillings to support their business.
This year tunaweka bilioni 50 kwa biashara ya hawa watu wa chini, ndio tuweze kuinua biashara ya kila mtu. Hawa wafanyabiashara wa chini wanateseka na mashailo. Namba ya 3, tunaweka pesa kwa kilimo. Wananchi wengi wanategemea kilimo. Bei ya mbolea nilikuwa nimepunguza nikiwa waziri kutoka 6,000 mpaka 2,500. Saa hii imerudi tena 5,500.
Leaders who accompanied the DP are the lawyer community to rally behind William Ruto's presidential bid. They called on Kenyans to embrace action-oriented leaders as well as elect development-conscious leaders.
Watu ya Dungosi, huyu jamaa amefanya mambo, na anaposema tutabadilisha Kenya, ni ukweli atabadilisha Kenya. Na hapa Busia, sisi watu wa Busia tumeamua hatutaenda tena safari ambayo haina sababu.
The deputy president also addressed meeting in Andungosi, Matayos, Butla, Funyula and Bulangi.
All right, still staying on matters politics, Amani National Congress leader Musalia Mudavadi has denied claims that he is in talks with Deputy President William Ruto with intentions of forming a coalition ahead of the 2022 general election. Mudavadi says he has not received any formal invitation for talks to form a coalition with Ruto.
Mudavadi has moved to set the record straight over a cloud of uncertainty that was generated by the remarks made by the Deputy President Ruto over the weekend that he was in the region after consultation with the ANC chief. According to Mudavadi, every Kenyan is free to visit any part of the country.
I must be an extremely powerful person if it can be said that I am the one who gives permission for people to go to places. So I would like to make it very clear that Kenyans are free to go to any part of this country.
Speaking during a press briefing with the core principals, Mudavadi said he had not received any official invitation for political talks.
As far as I'm concerned, I am free to meet everybody, and if I meet that person, I will not shy away from telling Kenyans I have met Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so or Madam So-and-so.
Imploring members of Parliament to put Kenyans' interest first regarding the controversial political parties amendment bill, Oka principals have denied claims that some principals are being seduced to ditch the alliance.
The last time I spoke to Honorable Raila Odinga was last year. In fact, one day before, he attended my party's delegates congress on 25th of November 2021. I've never spoken to him since then. I hope that answers you. How can you flirt with somebody with whom you have no communication?
Kenya Alliance knows what it is doing, knows what it's good for it, and knows what it must do within the law. And we will not, and I encourage my brothers here and sisters, that we shall not be cajoled into sprinting when in fact we are running a marathon.
For Prime Edition, I'm Zainab Said.
Now from ANC to ODM. ODM leader Raila Odinga has called on leaders eyeing various positions in the next polls to tone down and approach the campaign period with sobriety. Speaking during a requiem mass for former Nakuru Mayor Joseph Thuongeta held at ACK Cathedral of Good Shepherd, Raila, who is also a 2022 presidential hopeful, also called for political tolerance among competing parties. Have a look.
ODM leader Raila Odinga was among the mourners during a service at the ACK Cathedral for former Nakuru Mayor Joseph Thuongeta. It is here where Raila called for inclusivity and coexistence among country's ethnic groups, saying Kenyans should unite irrespective of tribe, race, gender and generation.
That we come together as one people of the Republic of Kenya. It's most important. That is what it should be. That a lawyer, a law can go and take in there and work there and feel part of that society. So that we don't live anywhere at the mercy of any other community.
Raila said his Azimio la Umoja campaign platform is geared towards ensuring that Kenyans can establish businesses and thrive anywhere in the country without fear of political intolerance.
We don't want somebody to feel insecure in any part of the country because he came from another part to be there. Kenyans should be able to live anywhere without any fear that they will be molested, that they will be harassed because of what they stand for.
Raila at the same time assured the internally displaced person that they will be compensated if elected for the top seat.
People who have been displaced make a thing of the past. There will be no IDPs in our country. And those whose properties have been taken by other people will ensure that these properties are restored.
This even as he eulogized the late Mzengeta as a jolly, accessible and dependable elder whose wise counsel and friendship will be missed.
Is how the man contributes to the struggle against the three major enemies of mankind: ignorance, poverty, and disease.
The Joseph also played a crucial role in the church. As a believer in Christ, he will be remembered for the role he played in putting up various sanctuaries where Christians of different denominations would gather for worship in a conducive environment.
The former premier urged members of parliament and particularly young politicians to emulate the late Mzengeta. Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
Now, moving on, the Council of Governors now wants counties to strengthen emergency operation centers as the COVID-19 infection rate continues to rise among the devolved units. Between December 27, 2021 and the 4th of January 2022, counties have reported 21,217 cases of the deadly disease, with 73 deaths associated with the pandemic reported during a similar period. As of Wednesday, Kenya's coronavirus positivity rate stands at 25.6% after 2,216 new cases were reported in the last 24 hours from a sample of 8,669 tested. Purity Museo with details of this report.
On Wednesday, 2,216 people tested positive for the COVID-19 disease in Kenya from 8,669 samples screened in the last 24 hours. The cases pushed the coronavirus positivity rate to 25.6%. At the same time, 3 people succumbed to the deadly disease, all of them being late deaths reported after conducting a facility record audit. The number of fatalities since March 2020 is 5,404. Counties are now raising an alarm of an increased infection rate, which they link to the Omicron variant of coronavirus.
Let us do all we can to ensure that the spread of the virus is contained and that the economy does not continue to be adversely affected.
Council of Governors Chair Martin Wambora, who spoke in Nairobi on Wednesday, said there was a need for collaborative efforts from the devolved units to stop the fast-spreading disease.
We note with concern the low uptake of the COVID-19 vaccine among communities in all counties. We call upon the leaders in these counties to continue reaching out to the population to boost the numbers.
So far, 10,310,606 people have been vaccinated against COVID-19, with only 4,321,150 fully vaccinated. Omicron is driving record daily cases of coronavirus from the United States to Australia, adding to pressure on health services. Australia, once feted for its success in controlling the virus, reported 64,758 new cases on Wednesday, most of them in the states of New South Wales and Victoria. Purity Museo, Prime Edition.
All right, now, along the corridors of justice, 4 men alleged to have trespassed in a private land in Karen will remain in custody for 2 more days to allow police conclude investigations into an alleged land fraud scam. The 4 are believed to be in possession of a forged title to the land, which they are using to defraud unsuspecting Kenyans. The court also directed the DCI to investigate from the Lands Ministry other forged documents regarding the land.
Mohamed Mahmoud Wako, alias Hussein Mohamed, James Owino Pere, Jonah Saluni Tuko, and Samakin Lesingiran were before Senior Resident Magistrate Jane Kamau. They were arrested for trespassing into a private land alleged to be owned by a prominent politician. In a miscellaneous application by the DCI, the state wanted to detain the four for 7 days pending investigations.
You're now within the period that the investigator is seeking for these 7 days. The investigators wish to record further statements.
The state knows the land registration number. It wants time to go and look for that purported owner. There must have been a complaint launched.
Prosecution saying they want the four to help them trace the fake owner of the land who is alleged to have fake land documents that he is using to con Kenyans.
I find that the respondents will be detained at Muthaiga Police Station for 2 days, ending 11 a.m. on Friday, 7th of January. Thereafter, on 7th of January, after 11 a.m., the respondents shall be granted police cash bail of 30,000 each and shall report daily to the investigating officer.
The case will be mentioned on 12th February. Elsewhere, 4 business persons were today released on a 500,000 shillings bond after denying 4 counts of fraud. Eugene Kariuki Mushemi, Wilson Munyo, Stanley Kibathi and Lavender Lucky denied making a false document contrary to Section 347 of the Penal Code. It is alleged that on February 2017, Kariuki made a false structural integrity investigations report on proposed construction of an office block for MultiChoice Kenya. They are further accused of conspiring to defraud MultiChoice Kenya by intentionally altering the report to favor their company and to demand demurrages. The case will be mentioned on 19th January. For Prime Edition, I'm Ben Troinjue.
Now, State Councillor and Minister for Foreign Affairs of the People's Republic of China, Wang Yi, is in Kenya to begin a 2-day official visit. The plane carrying the China's Foreign Affairs Minister touched down at Mombasa International Airport this afternoon. He was received by Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Ambassador Rachel Omamo. During his visit, the Foreign Minister is expected to pay a courtesy call to President Uhuru Kenyatta and participate in the ministerial roundtable meeting with CS Ambassador Rachel Omamo together with other cabinet secretaries. The visit gives the two countries an opportunity to enhance bilateral relations by signing agreements and further cement the comprehensive strategic cooperation partnership between Kenya and China. Of course, we'll be giving you details about this particular visit as the days go by so that we can understand what is in it for our country and what can we offer the People's Republic of China. Now, moving on, Orbit Chemical Industries Chief Executive Officer Sachin Chandaria is claiming ownership of the controversial Mukuru Kwanjenga slums land. Chandaria claims he bought the land from National Bank and subdivided it into 1,329 plots and gave locals who had encroached into the first priority to purchase, and only 456 of them did so.
For the first time, the Chief Executive Officer of Orbit Chemical Industries Limited, Sachin Chandaria, has come out to lay claim on the controversial Mukuru Kwanjenga slums land. Chandaria claims he acquired the land in the early 80s from the National Bank of Kenya.
Purchased this land on a tender from National Bank of Kenya in 1987. I have here a copy of the title, which I'll share with you.
However, squatters invaded the private land in the early 90s and they later went to court and the court ruled on their favor. Orbit Chemicals gave the government 20 plots for public amenities, including schools, police stations, churches, which are already at ground.
The land that has been sold to those people with legitimate titles It is their land. The rest of the land is ours. I have faith that our justice system will protect the sanctity of title, and we
Orbit Chemical walipewa idhini na rais 2018 kutuuzia shamba, na rais mwenyewe akamkabidhi titles ili auzie wale ambao wakaji tulikuwa pale tukikaa pale kinyume.
Tumeenda hata kotini ambayo kesi ni ya tarehe 24 mwezi huu, tukistaki watu ambao wamekuja kuingilia kwa property zetu ambazo tumesipata kwa halali. Sasa ile kitu hatutaki, na ile kitu ambayo hatutaki ni badi akipa way.
The company, according to Chandaria, then gave the encroachers the first priority to purchase the land, which others did, and they now have title deeds.
In 2018, Orbit we offered the title, the plots for sale, with a priority going to the existing illegal occupants of the land at the time.
Ikiwa serikali inaweza ikanipatia title kama hii na bado inarudi inasema inaweka watu pale katika ground ambayo wanasema ati shamba ni ya serikali, ati mimi siwezi kubadilishwa kufika mahali pale kwangu.
All right, that report takes us to our first break on Prime Edition. We got you covered on the business and sports. Cynthia Nyamai and Karen Kibet will be joining me in just a bit. Don't go too far. Do stay with us.
We are in Sabaki Magarini constituency, Kilifi County, here to retell the tale of the Malu customs, and this is my culture.
In the rearview mirror, we always gonna sing together, play together. Girl, we always gonna ride the weather, come whatever. Lift up your head and hold it up high. We know that we'll win the prize. I'm still here in the house of next time.
All right, let's now move on into the second part of this bulletin. Police in Thika East Sub-County are investigating an alleged kidnapping incident of 4 children at Gatuanyaga area of Kiambu County on Tuesday evening. The area Deputy Sub-County Police Commander Muthe Nyaga says the 4 were allegedly abducted while playing outside their residence before they were sprayed with a sleeping dose and bundled into a car. The children allegedly escaped unhurt from their kidnappers. This even as a Deputy Sub-County Police Commander cautioned parents to be vigilant about their children's safety.
Residents of Gatuanyaga area, Kiambu County, are living in fear after an alleged abduction incident in the area that went wrong. The 4 children were allegedly kidnapped while playing outside their residence, but later made a lucky escape. Confirming the incident, area Deputy Sub-County Police Commander Muthe Nyaga says the children aged between 6 and 12 years who later managed to escape on Wednesday morning were sprayed with a sleeping dose and bundled into a car.
Watoto wako salama, no injuries, hakuna mtoto ameguzwa, wako salama kabisa. Ile kitu ningepatia kueleza wananchi, kila mtu ajaribu kuchunga mtoto. Wao ni watoto wadogo na kuachilia watoto mpaka masaa kama haya unakuja kuripoti masaa kama kwamba hujaona watoto ni makosa.
The 2 boys and 2 girls detailed how they were blindfolded and their mouths, hands and legs tied up, put into a car.
Hiyo mama alikuwa na nywele ndogo inakaa ya kunyolewa na alikuwa mfupi na baba alikuwa refu. Waliturusha huko wakaenda akaacha mama hapo nje kiangalia hao watoto wengine na sisi.
Baba alikuwa anaongea. Tukaingishwa kwa hiyo room tukasikia watoto. Sasa tulisikia watoto. Huyu akaamka wa kwanza, akaturusha chini kwa nyasi. Yeye akashuka msha tukapitilia njia ya msituni. Tukaenda tukatokeleza kwa barabara ndo sasa tukaona shushu.
They were driven for about 4 kilometers before they were bundled into an abandoned small room near Makongeni Estate, where they found 3 other children.
Sasa kwenda kupenduka tuko wawili wakatuspray afu katuchukua katurusha kwa gari tukatuteremsha huko kwa msituni wakatufungia kwa kinyumba kinaitwa kwa kinyumba kadogo kameandikwa choo katufungia huko ndani na hiyo ilikuwa na dirisha ilikuwa imepigiliwa na misumari. Sasa tukasukuma hiyo mabati afu kusukuma mimi nikainua na sasa nikawarusha nje tukapotelezeka kwa msitu tukatoka huko tukakimbia.
Guardian to one of the children, Catherine Karongo, says the children went missing from 3 p.m. on Tuesday and came back home at 8 a.m. on Wednesday.
Around 7 ndio sasa mama jirani na yeye ndio alipigiwa simu akasema hata yeye watoto wake hawapatikani na ndio wakaandamana wakakuja police station. Na so ndio tukaenda tukachukua watu wa area tukaanza kupiga nduru tukawaambia hapana tusaidieni kutafuta watoto na tukawatafuta na hatukuwapata.
Resident led by Cecilia Omaida, a local leader, raised concern over the insecurity cases in the area, with several kidnapping and gruesome murders being reported in the area over the past 1 year.
Na ningetaka serikali, especially the DCIO, Thika East, aitavini kwa hiyo maneno ili kuwezekana kujulikane ni nani alikuwa amebeba hawa watoto. Because it is very bad and we condemn that issue.
Now, news from across the counties. Residents of Koromatangi area in Kakamega County are in shock after a policeman in the area committed suicide. It is said that the 50-year-old Abel Timeo had complained of not receiving his salary and had planned to report the matter to Kakamega Police Station.
His nephew Zakayo Kalama said he had gone to pick his uncle to take him to Kakamega Police Station to relay his complaint of not receiving salary when he found his body hanging in the house. His neighbors were saddened by his death, saying he was a good man who helped them whenever they approached him. Kakamega Central OCPD David Kabena confirmed the incident.
Ukiwa na issue yoyote kama huyo askari angekuja tuongee ama aseme ya kwamba anataka kuona mmoja wetu either OCS ama aone OCPD mimi mwenyewe ama yule mwingine kiongozi yote tuko naye hapa, tunaweza ku-exchange views ama ile kitu ambayo hiyo shida ako nayo tuweze kujua shida ni gani, tutatatua namna gani. Lakini sasa imekuwa ni kama mtu akiona kwamba shida imekuwa mingi ni kama mtu anaenda kujitoa uhai, lakini hiyo sio solution hata kidogo.
Meanwhile, several estates in Naivasha have been left in darkness after unknown persons vandalized streetlights in their localities. Members of the county assembly are now accusing scrap metal dealers for the rise in the cases that have affected Kayole, Kihoto, Site, Kabati and Lakeview estates.
Kwa hivyo, mimi naomba hata serikali yetu na idara ile husika na hii mataa wasuguke kaunti yote, waangalie uhalifu ule umefanywa hii mataa, watuletee supplementary budget, tutafute pesa, tuweke pesa ya kurekebisha hii masaduku ili maisha ya watoto na wakaaji yawe katika hali ile inastahili.
Elsewhere, police in Moranga South have nabbed drugs worth 1.5 million shillings at an abandoned house in Wempav location. Maragua OCPD Alexander Shikondi, together with other police officers, found the drugs at a house that was abandoned due to floods following a tip from the public. Shikondi urged residents to continue working with and supporting the police in the war against drugs.
Hawa wezi tumewajua
Ni vijana karibu vijana 6. Tumepata majina yenu na tutawatafuta usiku na mchana mpaka tuwapate. Mwenye nyumba pia tunamtafuta, kwa sababu kulingana na nyumba 10 mpaka ujue ni nani anakaa karibu na wewe.
And Vihiga Governor Dr. Wilbur Otichilo has warned undisciplined students from Vihiga County and the country at large that the law will catch up with them. Otichilo was speaking at Mbale Boys High School during a scholarship program where over 320 students benefited from shopping and pocket money under the bursary program. Finally, Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union Mombasa chapter has issued a 6-day strike notice compelling the county government to meet their demands, failure to which they will down their tools. The medical practitioners are demanding their unpaid salaries, promotions, lack of medical cover, among other demands.
This strike is actually to tell them that apart from paying the 2-month salaries, we are not going to go back to work until we come in an agreement, a written agreement with them that by 5th of every month, the county will be paying salaries of that month, or otherwise we'll be having recurrent and monthly strikes.
Beatrice Gatonyang-Etich, Prime Edition.
Now, moving on, workers at the export processing zone in Athi River are up in arms with the company's management after they were barred from accessing the premises this morning after they failed to reapply for the renewal of their contracts. The workers who had just returned from the December holidays claimed they were told to reapply for their jobs. The close to 2,000 workers held peaceful demonstrations after being denied entry to the apparel company for apparently refusal to reapply for their jobs after the holiday break.
Wamama kwa hii kampuni wanalia sana. Wakipewa maternity leave hawalipwi pesa. Wakienda wanaenda mwaka mzima. Kurudi kwa hii kazi si lazima urudi. Unarudi upya, na kama ni kurudi unarudi na pesa.
Na zile pesa unarudi nazo sio pesa kidogo. Kama ni operator anarudi na 15,000. Kama ni helper unarudi na 40,000. Sasa kama mfanyikazi na wewe unajua kazi, unawezaje kuapply kazi ukiwa kazi? Tuna apply kazi ukiwa kwa machine.
The agitated workers noted that the global apparel management has instead been subjecting them to renew contracts every 3 months, but today directed them to do applications instead.
Sasa leo hii tumefungiwa nje, anataka tutoe hiyo application ya 3 months to apply kazi. Sasa hatutoe hiyo application, tunataka tupatie contract ya 1 full year.
EPZ Workers Union noted that they received numerous complaints from workers over harassment.
Leo ni siku ya opening day ya kufungua kazi, waingie kazi. Kupika kwa gate wameambia mkuje na application ndio uingie. Which director mwenyewe, labor na union walisign hiyo kitu, no application, ni ku renew contract, renewal of contract.
The union now says they will move to court to sue the company over its gross misconduct, saying it has defied labor and union guidelines governing the export zone.
Now, away from the plight of the EPZ workers, we now move into something that is, interesting, that is going to be happening right here on KBC Channel 1. The film industry in Kenya is evolving rather fast, with local producers and actors finding their products on the silver screen. Tonight, in the spirit of keeping tabs with this wave of change, KBC launches a weekly news feature dubbed Cinemas and Theatre that will review the creative works of local producers of films and drama. Here now is the premiere episode.
I want you to step out of the shadow and stand under the light of truth. Damn it!
Shot 3. Stand by. And action.
Nafsi is about a middle-class woman, Aisha, who is unable to conceive following a traumatic childhood experience.
What if it's God's will for me not to have a child?
This has got nothing to do with your ability to conceive.
Her best friend Shiko offers to be the surrogate mother, if only to save her marriage.
I want you to know that your pain is my pain and your life my life.
This leads to events that thickens the plot further.
Hey!
The production of this film, it keeps taking a turn of its own that is bigger than me. It's literally like a child, you know. Once the child starts growing, you make peace that you no longer have control of how that conversation will go.
Aisha is played by Mumbi Maina.
So we had like 3 people who were proposed for that main role, and you know, some of them kept on dropping because several reasons. And my style is I give you the script to read first, and then I see if you're getting a vibe about the script, and then you talk about it. And when we gave it to Mumbi Maina, she got it, and we had very long discussions about the script. But also we later on brought her in for a screen test to see if she can merge with the rest of the people. So Mumbi is a phenomenal actress, but more importantly is that she bought into the vision of the film. If you watch the film, you'll see that she delivered 150%.
The character Shiko is by Catherine Kamau.
For her, it was more like a first time because she's known for a lot of comedy, and this was like a more serious role for her, and she delivered. She came through for audition. I thought she has potential. People were doubting. She struggled the first few days, then she got it.
The film, written and directed by Ruben Odanga, addresses the controversial concept of surrogacy vis-a-vis African cultural understanding of motherhood.
The film is literally a mirror of our society. And the story of Nafsi is a story about friendship, love. More importantly, we are targeting issues of surrogacy and issues of friendship and betrayal. So I'm just talking about issues that are happening. It's just that society, culture, religion, and how we've been brought up, how we've been classified, has made us to sort of like try and ignore what is on. Tell people, when are you having a baby? When are you having a child? And it looks like it's a kawaida thing, but people are struggling with very, very sensitive issues.
It depicts the fierce loyalty of childhood friendship and the eventual betrayal and heartbreaks that comes when Aisha changes her mind and no longer wants Shiko to carry the pregnancy to full term.
And you need to report that to the police. Why didn't you tell me about this?
With movies such as Nafsi, it is clear local producers are upping their game to exploit the undoubtedly unexploited film industry.
There's always been hope. We just need to do it. We've just been, this is what has been happening. We've always been waiting for someone to come and save us. And yet the only people who can save us is ourselves. Okay, what we have done with Nafsi is we've just jumped. You know, we just jumped. We said, look, we'll try if the parachute opens or not. And it's happening. It's happening right before our eyes.
All right, so you can keep watching this space. Of course, cinemas and theatre, it is something that we are starting right here on KBC Channel 1 in what we term as appreciating local talent and promoting our producers and actors and actresses. So something to look forward to each and every week right here on our news bulletins. We're going to be taking a very short break right now, but remember, on the other side, sports, business still coming up. Cynthia Nyamai will be taking you through the latest in the world of business in just a bit. Do stay with us.
Chafuka, yes, but at the end of the day unashika pesa safi inakusaidia. So naambia au mayuta huko watafute kazi yoyote, si lazima ati wakatupa mtaa wafanya crimes.
Kenyanji, wacha kila mtu alirie tumbo yake. In fact, I have a gazillionaire business to attend. So hiyo idea yako, go and try it somewhere.
Mr. President, yani wewe huoni hapa venye kuna opportunity ya pesa?
How I wish all the ladies were like you, Naya.
If we say were horses, beggars would ride on them.
Guys, I have a surprise for you.
Hey, Jack, what kind of surprise is it?
Who cares what kind of a surprise? Surprise is a surprise to surprise.
Omera, I do not take mixed tea. I've already taken my continental breakfast in the comfort of my apartment. So, no thanks.
Maybe they were blown by the wind.
Imagine I just let them here. All my expensive galots are gone. My galots.
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Business. I am Cynthia Nyamai. Now we start with a story that has been trending. It's about KFC and the potatoes, where the National Potato Council of Kenya is blaming the informal nature of the potato value chain for the challenges faced by farmers in supplying multinational fast food chains. National Potato Council of Kenya CEO Wachira Kagwongo says even though the makers seed variety demanded by multinational fast food chains is available in Kenya, previous talks with the franchise to contract local farmers to supply the potatoes have been unsuccessful.
For the better part of this week, the Kentucky Fried Chicken, commonly known as KFC, has faced a backlash for importing potatoes instead of procuring the produce from local farmers. This after KFC posted on social media platforms that it was experiencing a shortage of potatoes due to supply chain challenges. This has seen the franchise indicate that it plans to start procuring potatoes from local farmers to promote the local economy. However, the National Potato Council of Kenya says the informal nature of the potato value chain has made it hard for farmers to not only supply global franchises in the country, but also fail to access key international markets.
And for many years, we didn't have that kind of specialized utilization. Farmers were just growing potato and selling.
Pia nasitikika kusikia wakati kama huu kuna mikahawa au mahoteli ambaye haina viazi. Wakati viazi wakulima hawana mahali ya kuuza. Hiyo ni shida moja kubwa.
The National Potato Council of Kenya says key export aspects such as traceability that promotes food safety standards have been overlooked in the potato value chain, denying farmers premium markets.
And we have some investors who are already doing frozen chips, who can produce frozen chips from these Marquise variety and then sell to them, and the entire value chain can be complete for them.
The council says the potato variety demanded by KFC is available in Kenya, but not widely grown due to limited information to farmers.
The franchise companies get the recommendation of the preferred varieties from the mother company, and we may not have the varieties that they have, or most of them, but they have approved one variety here in Kenya called Marquise, and this Marquise is produced by one of the company in Nakuru called Agrico. So this is one of the varieties which we can support farmers to produce.
Farmers in potato growing regions say they are ready to partner with fast food joints to strengthen the value chain.
Naedaga hasara kwa sababu nimekosa sina customer, viazi iko sinaosea kwa saba.
Sisi kama wauzaji wa viazi na wakulima tunaomba serikali tagazo wa support wakulima wa Nyandarua wote juu wanalalamika ati wao wanapea ng'ombe viazi.
Potato farmers have been grappling with challenges in selling their produce after the 50 kg packaging laws were effected. Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
Private sector activity expanded to a 14-month high last month on account of easing of COVID-19 restrictions both in Kenya and other countries. The Market Stanbic Bank Kenya Purchasing Managers Index rose for the third straight month to a reading of 53.7 in December from 53.0 in November. The 12-month outlook, however, fell to a record low, with most firms expecting business conditions to remain largely the same this year.
A solid improvement in the health of the private sector economy drove the high expansion in the private sector activity. Driving the upturn was a further strong increase in new work intakes at Kenyan firms, who added to their workforces for an 8th consecutive month in December. Output levels rose sharply and at the fastest rate since the beginning of 2021. To manage higher workloads, companies increased the number of workers. Although the rate of job creation eased slightly from November's 2-year high, this allowed firms to lower their backlogs of work for a second month in a row. The pace of growth was the strongest seen since October 2020, with private sector players noting improved customer demand and better cash flow as economic conditions recovered further from COVID-19 restrictions. Business confidence for 2022 dropped in December as the Market Stanbic Bank Kenya Purchasing Managers Index shows the level of sentiment was the weakest seen since the survey began in January 2014, with just 19% of respondents giving a positive outlook. While there were hopes of expanding and offering new products and services in 2022, optimism fell as COVID-19 cases rose to record levels last month. The December data also indicated a sharp increase in input costs as raw materials were costlier due to ongoing supply issues and stronger demand. Efforts to build inventories in the face of strong new order inflows saw purchasing activity increase at the joint fastest pace seen in 2021.
The construction of a 65-kilometer road to connect Nairobi to Maralal town in Samburu County is set to be completed by the end of February. According to the Ministry of Transport, Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development Principal Secretary Paul Maringa, the project will open the area for more development.
Outside the Samburu County Commissioner's office in Maralal town, PS Maringa said once complete, the tarmac road will be extended by 3 kilometers to reach hospitals, the judiciary and government offices.
The road should also benefit communities directly through projects like water projects for schools and such like things, water pans. There has been a request to engage State Department of Infrastructure to ensure that you don't come on a very good tarmac road and then end up in a very dusty town.
Well, the PS was in the company of the contractor who assured him of the completion in the set time so that the locals can start benefiting from the development project.
The material that is required for the sub-base construction is already laid on the ground.
The road is expected to be complete by the 25th of February. Yusuf Far reporting for Prime Edition.
Now to regional stories, where global ports operator DP World has begun construction of Senegal's Ndayane deep water port, which is set to unlock significant economic opportunities for local businesses, create jobs and increase the country's attractiveness to foreign investment. This will be Dubai's based company's biggest port investment in Africa to date, and a project that is set to boost the country's position as a major trade hub gateway to West Africa. Details of this and more in the business news from Africa.
DP World and Senegalese government have laid the first stone to mark the start of construction of the new port of Ndayane. The investment of more than $1 billion will be done in 2 phases for the port of Ndayane, which is the largest single private deal in the history of Senegal. The steps follows the concessions agreement signed in December 2020 between DP World and Senegal government to build and operate a new port at Ndayane, about 50 kilometers from the existing port of Dakar. The first phase of the port development will include a container terminal with 840 meters of quay, while the second phase, an additional container quay of 410 meters, will be developed. Meanwhile, United Drilling Tools Limited has appointed marketing associates and representatives to promote its products portfolio for oil exploration and completion equipments in Egypt and Libya. This representation will open opportunities for United Drilling Tools Limited to expand its market base in Egypt and Libya. Hydrocarbon production is by far the largest single industrial activity in Egypt, representing around 24% of total GDP in 2019-2020. Libya is the sixth largest economy in Africa because of oil, which makes up 95% of its total exports. Finally, South Africa tourism is showing signs of recovery, with the coastal city of Durban having 80% occupancy at establishments and more than 200,000 visitors during the festive season. Durban Mayor Mxolisi Kaunda says during the festive season, restaurants and eateries in the townships and other destinations were full of tourists. Over the Christmas weekend period alone, about 200,000 people visited the city, spending about $10 million. Last Thursday, the South African government removed the curfew imposed to contain the spread of COVID-19.
NSC report is coming up shortly, and after that, sports with Karen Kibet.
You haven't heard the worst about what happened.
I saw him run away. He was right there. He could have helped my grandpa, but he didn't do anything. He just ran.
You had one enemy, and a really big one.
Who?
Damien Ferrer. I want you to swear to me that our relationship isn't over.
Lying heart.
Welcome back. Thank you for keeping it KBC Prime Edition. My name is Karen Kibet. Now, former KPL champions Gor Mahia failed to register a win after a 1-1 draw with Nzoia Sugar. FC Leopards also registered a 1-0 victory over Nairobi Stars. The 2018 World Under-20 Championship 3,000-meter steeplechase champion Serfine is among top athletes who will line up at this weekend's Prison's Cross-Country Championship at Prison Staff Training College in Ruiru. Chespol will take to the field in the women's 10-kilometer race alongside Eunice Mumbua, Marceline Ondiek, Lilian Kasait and former Africa cross-country champion Ali Sapot, among other elite athletes. Former world marathon champion Luke Kibet will line up in the men's 10-kilometer race alongside Benson Mwangi, Shadrach Ngumbao and Cornelius Kangogo, among other athletes. Over 150 athletes will line up at the Prison's Cross-Country Championship. Moving on, Morocco, Ghana, Gabon and Comoros form Group C of the postponed Africa Cup of Nations, which will be held from this Sunday to 6th February in Cameroon. Group C teams will take to the pitch on the third day of the continental tournament, with Morocco taking on Ghana first in the early kickoff, while Comoros will be up against Gabon. Group C is our focus today on the AFCON countdown with just 4 days to go.
Waiting for a cross. VAR are checking.
The Moroccan national team was founded in 1928 and played its first game on 22nd of December that year against B team of France, to whom it lost 2-1. This team, formed by the best footballers of the LMFA or the Moroccan Football League, was active in friendly matches against other North African teams such as those Algeria and Tunisia. These associations of the Settler Club and local footballers, in addition to having their own championship, chased with each other in a tournament that Morocco won several times, such as in 1948 and 1949. Internationally, Morocco won the 1976 AFCON, 2 African Nation Championship, and have participated in the FIFA World Cup 15 times. Their best result came in 1986, when they were the first and only African national team to finish top of a group at the FIFA World Cup. In 1903, the first official Ghanaian soccer club was formed, and in 1920, the British introduced the first formal competition. The team have won the African Cup of Nations 4 times, in 1963, 1965, 1978 and 1982, making Ghana the third most successful team in the contestant history. Gabon, with the nickname the Brazilians and governed by the Gabonese Football Federation, they have never qualified for the FIFA World Cup but have qualified 8 times for the African Cup of Nations. The team represents both FIFA and Confederation of African Football (CAF). On 14th November 2019, Comoros opened their 2021 African Cup of Nations qualification campaign with a 1-0 win away to Togo, their first away win in a major qualifier. They would go on to qualify for the final tournament, their first major tournament since joining FIFA. Daniel Mwendwa, Sport.
And finally, Tottenham boss Antonio Conte says he will be emotional as he returns to old club Chelsea in the Carabao Cup final first leg. Meanwhile, Real Madrid is hoping to secure a win when they travel to take on Alcoyano in the Copa del Rey.
Conte, who was appointed by Spurs in November, managed Chelsea from 2016 to 2018, winning the Premier League and FA Cup, and returns for the first time. Spurs have fresh COVID-19 concerns, but Conte, who was waiting for the results of some players' tests, did not say who could miss out. Christian Romero, Ryan Sessegnon and Steven Bergwijn are all injured and will miss the game. Chelsea striker Romelu Lukaku could return after apologizing for an interview saying he was not happy at the club. He was dropped on Sunday's 2-2 Premier League draw with Liverpool, but returned to training after talks with boss Thomas Tuchel. Trevor Chalobah is injured, and fellow central back Andries Christensen is a doubt, but striker Timo Werner could feature after a few weeks out. Meanwhile, Real Madrid is hoping to secure a win when they travel to take on Alcoyano in the Copa del Rey. Real Madrid started the new year on a disappointing note, falling to a 1-0 defeat to Getafe in La Liga last weekend, and will be aiming to bounce back quickly with a strong display in the first cup tie of the campaign. While the competition might not be top priority for Carlo Ancelotti and co, they will still look to go distance, having last won the trophy way back in 2013-2014 season. Daniel Mwendwa, Sport.
And those are all the sports stories we had for you tonight. I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place with more sports stories. Do have yourself a peaceful night. My name is Karen Kibet, but the broadcast is not yet over, as I do hand you back to Serfine Achieng for more.
Indeed, thank you so much, Karen Kibet, for putting us up to speed with the latest in the world of sports. And now it's our time to wrap it up, but interesting things still lined up for you. But before I tell you what's coming up, let me just appreciate Paul Mutukumue. You've been following from Ziwani, thank you. Ali Hamaza from Asaku, we appreciate you creating time for us. And Josma Kangwenyi from Nairobi here in Embakasi, thank you for watching Prime Edition tonight. We appreciate even those who took their time to interact with us on Twitter and on YouTube as well. And that's how we wrap it up right here on Prime Edition tonight. But guess what? I know it's January and maybe you do not have that extra coin to spend. We got you covered. Entertainment brought to you live right in your living rooms. The rave is coming up next, so don't go too far. Just hang on there. Yes, you can see the team there getting ready. DJ Stano there getting ready for you. That's coming up in just a bit. Your favorite show. Do keep us company all the way. We are going to take care of all your needs. My name is Serfine Achieng Oma and our sign language interpreter has been Lucy Mwaura. It's a wrap. Thank you for watching. Have a good night and God bless.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest